guys. That was awesome. It's terrible, man. It's one of those jobs where if everything goes right, nobody notices, and as soon as something goes wrong, everybody's on you. So thank you so much for your help. All right. The name of this talk is The Tip of the Stinger, because I have an English degree, and if I don't have at least one bad pun in the title slide, they take it away. Efficiently using threat intelligence with TheHive. So thank you very much for having me. This is my first trip to BSides Cleveland. This has been awesome. I'm really enjoying myself, and I'm looking forward to sharing this with you. So who am I? My name's Matt Gracie. I'm an engineer on the security team at Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Western New York. So I've been there for about a year. I do a lot of integration work. I do a lot with our sort of defer and threat detection stuff. I've been working in IT since the turn of the century, which I like to say to watch the other Gen Xers twitch. I've been working specifically in InfoSec since 2006. So I'm in sort of the healthcare vertical right now. Before this, I was in financial services. Before that, manufacturing. And I got my start working in higher ed. So how many people here work in higher ed InfoSec? Anybody? All right, good. A couple hands. I always tell people that higher ed is the best possible place to learn information security. You've got a whole network full of endpoints you have no jurisdiction over and can't touch. You have an entire population of students that are actively trying to circumvent anything that you're doing. And also you have no money. Now, go fight some crime. It's awesome. So when I was working in higher ed, and I did that for 6 or 8 years, obviously, we had to do a lot with free tools. We had to do a lot with open source tools. And so I developed a great affinity for what I call the Swanson rule of security tooling, which is pretty straightforward. Most of the time, if you're trying to do something in your security program, there's an open source platform for doing it. I don't mean to disparage vendors. There are vendors that have very good products. There are vendors that can save you a lot of time, but there's always that trade-off. You know, you're either spending hours to deploy an open source solution, or you're spending money to deploy a commercial solution. I tend to err on the side of using as much open source stuff as possible. So this talk is all open source tools from top to bottom in a stack that you can use to leverage whatever threat intelligence is available to you and find it on your network. What am I talking about today? Well, I'm talking about threat intelligence. And what is threat intelligence? And who's more trustworthy to tell us what is threat intelligence than the good people at Gartner? Threat intelligence is evidence-based knowledge, including context, mechanisms, indicators, implications, blah, blah, blah. You can all read. What I'm talking about here is the simplest definition of threat intelligence, which is discrete indicators of compromise. That is to say, an IP address for a C2, a file hash, a URL, a domain, an email address. Stuff that, if you see it in your environment, is indicative that you may have a larger problem, right? If the secretary's machine suddenly starts reaching out to a Russian C2 address, odds are there's some compromise. You need to investigate it. But you're never going to notice that unless you're properly leveraging your threat intelligence. If you'd like to know more of what Gartner has to say about threat intelligence, they will happily sell you the rest of this report for only $50 a page. So I think this really cements BSides as one of the better values in your security training budget. So now that we know what threat intelligence is, where are we going to get it from? One of the best resources you've got are called ISACs. ISACs are information sharing and analysis centers. For those of you who are not familiar with these, it's a public-private partnership. It's partially a governmental administered program that applies to a particular industry vertical. So I'm at Blue Cross. We are a member of ISAC, which is the healthcare ISAC. When I was working for a large insurance company, we were part of FS ISAC, the financial services ISAC. Education networks have Red ISAC, the Research and Education Network ISAC. So these are groups for sharing security information that is especially pertinent to the sector that your employer is in. The nice thing about threat intelligence is that this means you're getting actionable threat intelligence and actionable IOCs from threat actors who are targeting your particular industry. You're not just getting the, spray and pray, we think everything might be malicious list. You're getting stuff that might be an actual threat to you specifically. If you're not part of an ISAC, I would suggest going to the National Council of ISAC's webpage, check it out, see if they have one for your industry vertical. They have them for pretty much anything that would be considered, a critical capability or critical infrastructure. Outside of ISACs, there are a lot of email lists where you can get threat intelligence, bug track, that sort of thing. There are a lot of really good Twitter accounts that you can follow. I'm on Twitter. I use Twitter specifically for work and InfoSec-related stuff. I follow a lot of these. I find it fascinating. I do occasionally forget that using Twitter for InfoSec is kind of like walking on a 2x4 over an open sewer. And if you step off of that very careful path, you end up to your hips in raw sewage. It's a terrible site overall, but for InfoSec stuff and for stuff like this, it's pretty awesome. Bad Packets Report's a good one. Tech Helpless, which is now at JTHL, has a lot of good stuff. So those are good actionable intelligence you can use. The Alien Vault Open Threat Exchange, or as I call it, the Tumblr of threat intel. Anybody can post stuff on there. Some of it's pretty good. Some of it's terrible. But you do sort of develop over time a recognition for the reputations of the various people posting stuff on there. You figure out who's a legitimate source and who isn't. Large industry groups like SANS are always good. The Internet Storm Center, some of the other stuff that they run. And I apologize, I'm going through this kind of quick. I still want to try to finish on time if I can. And finally, there are a lot of commercial sources of threat intelligence. I know X-Force sounds like a free comic book from your dentist, but it's actually IBM's threat intel service. And they've got some good stuff in there. CrowdStrike has Falcon X. I'm trying to remember, I have a couple others. Palo Alto's got a good threat service. A lot of vendors have stuff. These are not generally as industry specific as getting threat intel from your ISAC, but it's generally a lot cleaner and better vetted than just pulling random stuff off of Alien Vault OTX. So you're in pretty good hands. One of the nice things about these commercial services is they often get bundled in with other stuff that you've bought. So if you're in a security shop of any size, odds are you've already got a subscription to this stuff that you don't even know about, right? I think we get X-Force as a throw-in with some of our other IBM stuff. So if you have that out there, you're already paying for it, you might as well leverage it. So we've got our threat intel, we've got our great big list of indicators, we've got our IP addresses we're looking for, we've got our file hashes that are suspicious. How do we use it? Well, the first tool we want to look at is MISP. MISP is the Malware Information Sharing Platform. It's written by the Computer Incident Response Center of Luxembourg. So you may have to unblock .lu domains on your border firewall to get to it. But it's a very good, well-vetted, quickly evolving threat intelligence platform. It's an open source alternative to something like Anomaly, for example. It allows you to bring in all of these IOCs from all of these disparate sources, whether you're getting them from email lists or whatever, collect them, sanitize them, normalize everything, and distribute it into your security tooling. It's got support for a ton of features. I mean, I don't have time to get into all of them, but you can tag stuff so you can remember where it came from or what population of machines it might apply to. Everything supports traffic light protocols, so you can mark stuff as internal only or okay for federation. Galaxies and taxonomies, if you want to map stuff back to something like MITRE ATT&CK, you can easily do that in MISP. It's got awesome import and export capabilities, and it's a really good sort of central system of record for your threat intelligence program. You have everything come in a variety of different formats or methods, and then put it all into MISP, and then you've got it all in one place in a very easily manipulable way. And I should have mentioned this at the beginning. Don't worry about taking pictures of the slides or anything. There's a link to the slide deck at the end, so you can just grab it off GitHub if you want to. So you can get data into MISP a lot of different ways. You can do manual entry in the web console, which is what I'll demo later. You can import JSON files, which can be created using other tools. It'll actually pull in sticks data off that format. So if you're part of an ISAC that has Soltra, for example, and provides sticks access, You can share data with other MISP instances, which is pretty cool. And there's a ton of third-party extensions and add-ons for it for getting data in and out. Generally speaking, MISP structures data in order called events. So you would have a list of indicators that are associated with a particular exploit technique or a particular adversary group, puts them all into one big bundle called an event. That event contains attributes. So the attributes would be things like IP addresses, file hashes, domain names, stuff that is an observable artifact of the event. It has tags, like I said, so you can use that to manipulate the data however you like. Threat and analysis level. Is this something that I got from OTX that's not vetted? Or is this something that I got from the threat team at my ISAC that is very well vetted, very well analyzed, and very well understood? How much weight should I put into this? And also distribution. So, as I said in the previous slide, MISP instances can be federated with one another to share threat intelligence data. You can set a particular event or even a particular attribute and say, okay, this one is for internal use only. Don't send this one out to the rest of the ISAC. The rest of this stuff they might find interesting. Send it up to them, but only allow them to use it. Don't allow them to further distribute it. You know, the controls over that stuff are very fine-grained. So, everything's in MISP. Now we need some tooling to feed it. How many people use Security Onion? All right, good. One of my absolute favorite tools. So Security Onion is an open source network security monitoring platform. It's written by a guy named Doug Burks. And it's sort of a stack of Docker containers that are all based around getting visibility into your network. You can download an ISO of it, use it as an appliance. You basically just install the ISO and everything is there. If you want to, you can install it on top of a stock Ubuntu distribution or a stock Red Hat or CentOS. There's commercial support available if you're in a shop where that's a necessity. There's training available. It can be used for PCAP processing, which is pretty awesome, and I'll happily talk about that offline if you want to. And all it really requires is hardware to run it on and a network tap or a span port so that you can see the traffic flowing around on your network. I've installed it in small places with a single gigabit aggregating tap at the border. I've installed it on larger networks with something like a Gigamon or an Ixia tap infrastructure, pulling stuff in from all over. It scales very well, works really well, no matter the size of your network. So one of the tools that's included in Security Onion is Suricata, or Snort, if you prefer Snort. You can run either one. So I'm sure you all know this, but just to make sure I'm filling in the gaps. So this is sort of a traditional IDS platform. You feed it rules or signatures. If it sees something going by that matches that rule or signature, it raises an alert. Right? As I think Dave said this morning, it's 1990s level antivirus. It's just strictly looking for signatures. That's it. But that's complemented by Zeek, who used to be called Bro. Much like when Ethereum became Wireshark, I'm sure I'll be calling it Bro for the next 5 years. And what this does is it watches the traffic and it generates logs of the metadata of those sessions. So it's sort of like NetFlow, except instead of just getting source, destination, and amount of data transferred, you also get some metadata about the connection itself. If it's an FTP session, for example, you get information about the file, what's its hash, what's its file name, where did it come from, where did it go to. If you use it to watch UDP53 traffic, you won't just get what was the DNS server that answered the request, but what kind of record request was it? Was it an A? Was it an MX? What were they asking for? What was returned? So it's sort of a helpful middle step between doing full packet capture and doing just something like NetFlow. You get a lot more metadata, but it doesn't require the disk space of full packet capture. Also, with full packet capture, it's pretty useless on encrypted traffic anyway. So I don't know that the diminishing returns are really worth it anymore. Our environment, we're down to about 3.5% of the network traffic is port 80. Everything else is cryptoed, so there's really no point in doing full capture. Those those tools under Security Onion feed into an Elastic Stack. So the Elastic Stack, as I'm sure you know, Elasticsearch on the back end is the database, Kibana up front is the visualization and reporting interface. It also includes ElastAlert, which is I think an underappreciated piece of Elastic Stack. So Elastic used to have something called XPack, which was their additional functionality for things like alerting or behavioral analysis, right? So you can deploy Elastic for free, but if you wanted this additional stuff, you would have to buy a license for XPack. So a lot of people just said, oh, well, I'll install this for free and I'll just write my own functionality for XPack instead of buying it. And that's where ElastAlert came from. It was written by the people at Yelp for doing alerting on the contents of Elasticsearch. So what it does is it periodically goes back through your Elasticsearch database looking for items that you've written alerts for in YAML, which is terrible. And if it finds something, it can raise an alert however you want. It can dump something into a Slack channel. It can send an email. It can make an API call. And what we're going to talk about, it can raise an alert in what's called TheHive. So this is the last piece in the tool chain. And I'm honest, I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but I've got screenshots of everything. It'll make more sense once you see how it all works together. So TheHive is an open source incident tracking platform. It can also do some security orchestration stuff. This is another European open source project. It's from a bank in France. I can't remember the name of it. But it is designed to be an investigation and ticketing system for an incident response team. It allows for real-time collaboration. There's sort of a news feed along the side of the interface so you can see what all the other analysts are doing. It's got a lot of dashboard and reporting stuff. If you want to go back and say, hey, how much time did this analyst spend responding to phishing emails over the last year? You can pull all that information out, assuming that they're tracking their time properly. It integrates with MISP for some threat intel functions, but one of the important things it's got is cases, which is sort of all the stuff that happens when you're doing an investigation. Case templates, which are, these are the generic tasks that I need for a particular kind of investigation. And alerts, which is, this might be interesting enough to turn into a case. So, for example, if you've got a case template for phishing investigation, what are your normal steps in a phishing investigation? Well, one, ask the user if they put their credentials in. Two, check the logs, confirm that the user is lying to you about putting their credentials in. Three, reset the user's password, right? You go through the same tasks every time. So you can just set up a template for that, and then when you get one of these alerts, you say, okay, this is legitimate, open a case, use this template, and it gives your junior analyst sort of a cookbook to follow. It's really powerful functionality. So if we put it all together, and we're hunting for new indicators of compromise, you have some new piece of threat intel that you get, whether it's from an email list, or an ISAC, or Stix Taxi, or whatever. You import it into MISP. MISP generates the rules for your IDS, so your Suricata instance, your Bro instance, configures that, and starts watching the traffic in your environment via that network tab. It sees something that matches, an IDS alert fires, an alert is raised in TheHive, an analyst grabs it, reports it as a case, and you kick off your incident response process. So you've automated the whole process from, I got a new piece of information, to that IOC showed up in my environment, let's have one of the analysts work it. The whole middle part of that is all automated and all streamlined. We get thousands of indicators a week from HISAC. We have one of our junior analysts spend maybe 10 minutes sticking them in MISP, and honestly, we could probably replace them with a Python script, but that would be rude. So what does it look like? So this is an example. This is just some stuff that's on my personal domain. Please do not submit this to VirusTotal. This is just some stuff that's on my personal domain for the purposes of this demonstration. We've got a domain name, we've got a URL, a file name, and a couple of file hashes, right? So we take that information, we go into MISP, which looks like this. It has a handsome web interface. And we say, okay, we're going to call this event BSides Cleveland Demo Event. It'll be a new event. Let's open it up. We paste in those indicators into the free text import tool, and it identifies what they are. It says, okay, this one's a host name, this one's a domain name, this one's a file hash, etc. Sorts them all out into those attributes underneath the event. We check and make sure everything looks like we think it should, which it does. And then we publish the event. If you are federating with other MISP instances, this is the point where those attributes will be pushed out to your partner organizations. Or if you're running a large enough organization that you have multiple MISP servers in your own infrastructure, you do this on the head one and it pushes them out to all the subsidiary ones. I can see a good case for doing that if you're in, say, a geographically separated network and you want to have local rule caches at each place. I mean, why not? They're free, right? So once it's in there, then you can export it in a variety of formats. Now, everything in MISP is also API driven. So the stuff that I'm showing you in the web interface, you can do via REST calls. But in this case, we want to feed Suricata, which is right there. We want to feed Bro, which is right there. If we want to, we can spit out lists of indicators down here. I know that's kind of hard to see. But we can spit out, okay, show me just the file hashes. Show me just the domains, just the email addresses. So if you're feeding this into something like Proofpoint, you would probably want just the email addresses. If you're feeding it into something else, just the piece that tool deals with. So you hit export, and it spits out something like this. This is a list of Suricata rules for those indicators that I showed at the beginning. If you see a DNS query for the host name, www.roadflares.org, raise an alert. If you see HTTP traffic to that host name, raise an alert, etc., etc. So this is all sort of network activity stuff. So all you have to do, as I said, it's API driven, is run a curl command against that API with the proper authorization in the header, and it spits out a whole mess of Suricata rules that you can just streamline right into your detection. Same thing with Bro. So these are Bro rules for the file hashes. If any of these file hashes show up, Bro has a framework called Bro Intel, which is specifically for spotting stuff in threat intel. Raise an alert. So if you see that file hash, if you see that file name, etc., and you'll notice they're all tagged with the event number in MISP. So if you get one of these alerts, you can go back into MISP and say, okay, where did this rule come from? Where did I get this threat intel? Is this credible? Because it's doing it all in Security Onion with Elastic Stack, you can make really pretty dashboards out of it. You can say, okay, show me all of the MISP alerts that came out of Suricata. Sort them out by pie chart. Show me which ones I'm getting the most. Show me which file hashes I'm hitting. If I want to, I can get into all the metadata and then straight into the packet capture and see what exactly triggered it. Security Onion is a really awesome tool. So it gives you all of the metadata around the connection, where it came from, where it's going to, what time, how many times they hit, etc. And again, this is all automated. So in addition to raising the alert in Security Onion itself, ElastAlert will also use the Hive Alerter plugin to open up an alert in TheHive, which is this interface here. So you see we got one alert at the top that says Bro Intel match, that's for the file hash, and we got one at the bottom that says MISP event for this domain. So if your analysts are working in the dashboard, they'll just see it pop up in the alerts tab. Hey, we had a hit on some of our threat intel. What's going on? We built a case template. So this is for a potential malicious file. We've got submit the file hash to virus total, delete the file, check for execution, check for transmission to other hosts, determine whether the host needs re-imaging, right? Very simple, step-by-step. This is how we deal with sort of a tier 1 potentially malicious file. So I can just hand this one to my junior analyst and say, okay, go on in, import this alert as this case template, which is what the screen looks like here. Step through all the pieces, hit all the tasks, track your time, tell me if you run into any problems. I can always jump in and take the ticket over if it becomes a problem. So you got your list of tasks. You've got all your observables, your IPs that it's coming from and going to. And again, we've automated this whole thing. The only manual piece was putting those indicators into MISP at the beginning. Everything else flowed through automatically. It's very easy to set up. So the GitHub link, which is at the end, I put in the slide deck. I put in all the configuration files that I used to build this scenario. I put in all the documentation that you're going to need. You can stand this up on your own in probably an afternoon if you're familiar with Linux. How can I play with this myself? Well, there is a Hive VM that's available from the Hive people. There is a MISP VM. There's a what they call a training VM that combines MISP, the Hive, and Cortex all running in one environment, which is pretty awesome. I would warn you, that one tends to be a couple versions behind. So it's probably not good for production use, but if you just want to screw around with it, it's great. Security Onion is freely downloadable. There's the question slide. We'll get to that in a sec. And for more information. So if you have questions on this, I tweet about this stuff a lot. I'm on Twitter's InfoSecGoon. There's my email address. There's my GitHub that has all the material for this tool set. So that is everything. And despite the late start, I think we've got like 4 minutes left in my time slot. So does anyone have any questions? Anybody? Yeah. Yeah, it's sort of the way it's set up in MISP is sort of like traffic light protocol. There's sort of a sliding scale for sort of veracity, I guess you'd call it. But you can set up your tools so that they only pull stuff of a particular level or above. Or you can have like a test network that looks for everything, but your production sensor's only looking for critical so you don't overwhelm your analysts. One other thing that's missing from this that someone asked me about before is there's really no good way to expire events from MISP. I mean, you can delete stuff, but there's no way to say, like, okay, I'm importing this today. I figure these IOCs will be good for about 2 weeks, so just automatically delete them then. You know, it's something you have to kind of write a script around on your own. I submitted a request for that, and he said, no, we're writing an incredibly complicated scheme based around the sightings API and everything else. And I'm like, all right, man, I just wanted to delete it, but okay. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you. In terms of detecting stuff or in terms of putting things in? Okay. The MISP and Hive stuff is pretty robust. We're actually running both of them just in Docker containers, and they've been fine. We have a fairly large network. Where you can run into trouble is if you're pushing a lot of traffic through your tab infrastructure, it can be tough for the IDS subcomponent to keep up. So you may have to get a little creative with indexing and tell it, like, okay, a last alert, don't look at everything, just look at the IDS alerts. So don't look at just like the general log stash index, because you'll run into situations where, you know, you get a MISP alert, you go to investigate it, and you hit that 6 hours ago, right? That said, Security Onion is very horizontally scalable, so if you really want to be sure, you can always deploy multiple sensors and do it that way, and the last alert rules that you write will be propagated out across the fleet. Anyone else? All right, well, thank you very much for your time. If you think of anything, come find me. I'm very conspicuous. Thanks a lot.